the price of the future. What we discussed so far. In part 1, we explored one powerful idea that human history can be understood as 800 lifetimes. And for most of those lifetimes, very little changed. Until suddenly, everything accelerated. Agriculture, industry, information, artificial intelligence. Each wave faster than the one before. Then in part 2, the 801st lifetime, we explored what may happen next, how AI may reshape work, economies, migration, governments, education, and even human identity itself. We saw that technology is no longer becoming a tool, it is becoming the environment itself. And we explored how individuals may need to prepare for this transformation. So before watching this part 3, I strongly recommend watching part 1 and part 2 first, because what we discussed now is not just about technology anymore. It is about the consequences, the economic consequences, the social consequences, the emotional consequences. Because the next great disruption may come from what happens when the cost of intelligence collapses. The most important change. Most people think the biggest AI disruption is jobs, but that may not be true. The biggest disruption may be cost. Because throughout history, whenever the cost of something collapsed, civilization changed. Electricity reduced energy cost. Machines reduced physical labor cost. Computers reduced information processing cost. And now, AI is reducing the cost of thinking itself. What happens when cost approaches zero? Think about what is already happening. Writing, design, coding, research, translation, content creation. Tasks that once required large teams, large budgets, and enormous time can now be done faster, cheaper, and sometimes instantly. And when the cost of creation approaches zero, barriers begin to disappear. The age of abundance. For the first time in history, a single individual may soon be able to create what once required entire companies. One person may build software, create films, launch businesses, educate millions, or design products globally. A teenager with a laptop may suddenly possess capabilities that once belonged only to governments and corporations. This creates something extraordinary, an age of abundance, where capability becomes democratized, where intelligence becomes accessible, where creation becomes limitless. But abundance creates disruption. But every revolution has two sides. When production becomes cheaper, many traditional jobs lose value, especially repetitive jobs. Routine office work, basic coding, data entry, clerical systems, standardized support roles. And behind every disappearing role, there is a human story, a family, a routine, a sense of certainty. That is why governments and companies across the world are preparing urgently, because they know the transition may happen faster than society expects. What global reports are warning? The World Economic Forum Future of Jobs Report 2025 estimates 92 million jobs may disappear globally by 2030. At the same time, 170 million new jobs may emerge, a net gain of 78 million jobs. But the deeper reality is this. Around 22% of all jobs globally are expected to be disrupted or transformed within this decade, which means millions of people may need to reinvent themselves. not someday, within a few years. The biggest workforce transition. McKinsey estimates that hundreds of millions of workers may need to completely change occupations within this decade. And for the first time in history, machines are not only replacing human physical effort, they are beginning to replace parts of human thinking. Writing, analysis, coding, documentation, decision support. This is why many experts believe the next workforce transition could become larger than the Industrial Revolution itself. But unlike the Industrial Revolution, this transformation is happening globally and simultaneously. What governments are doing? Governments across the world are already rewriting policy. Massive investments are happening in AI education, digital literacy, future skills training, and workforce reskilling. But governments are preparing for something even bigger: AI governance, cybersecurity risks, misinformation, digital identity systems, AI ethics, data sovereignty. Countries now see AI infrastructure almost like roads, electricity, or national defense, which is why nations are launching AI missions, national AI policies, sovereign AI models, public AI infrastructure, and ethical AI frameworks. Because countries now understand the future may not belong to the most powerful nations alone, but to the fastest adapting ones. What India may experience? India may experience slower full replacement, but massive transformation. Because India has a huge service workforce, a massive IT outsourcing economy, and one of the world's largest young populations. AI may reduce repetitive IT services demand, automate support functions, and pressure low-skilled digital jobs. For millions of young people, this may become both an opportunity and a warning. But India may also benefit enormously if it rapidly reskills, moves into AI services, and builds innovation ecosystems. This is why Microsoft, IBM, the World Economic Forum, and Indian policy groups are already pushing large-scale AI skilling programs. India, Telangana, Goa, and several regions are already building AI innovation hubs and policy ecosystems. What companies are doing? Large companies are changing too. Microsoft, IBM, Accenture, Google, Amazon, they are rebuilding workflows, automating systems, training employees, integrating AI into everything. Because companies now understand the future advantage will not come only from manpower. It will come from leverage, from intelligent systems, from speed. And in the future, a small intelligent team may compete against entire traditional organizations. The old model is fading. For generations, the model was simple: study once, work for decades, retire slowly. For many families, that model created stability, predictability, security. But that world is beginning to fade. Future generations may need to continuously reskill, learn new systems quickly, and evolve repeatedly. The most valuable skill may no longer be memorization. It may be fast learning, understanding principles, asking better questions, finding reliable knowledge, and adapting quickly as the world changes. Stable lifetime employment may become less common. Many people may eventually need multiple income streams, independent digital capability, entrepreneurial thinking, and financial literacy. Future security may increasingly come from adaptability and leverage, not from one fixed role, not from one predictable system. And for some people, that freedom may feel exciting. For others, terrifying. And slowly, a new divide begins to emerge. Not simply rich versus poor, but adaptive versus non adaptive. Those who understand systems and those controlled by them. Because information is no longer rare, the real advantage now is the ability to use intelligence effectively. But this transformation is not only economic, it is social. Family structures are changing. Birth rates are falling across many countries. Loneliness is increasing. Attention spans are shrinking. People are becoming more connected digitally, yet often more disconnected emotionally. And for the first time in history, human attention itself is becoming a global battlefield. The attention economy. Every platform now competes for one thing: your attention. Notifications, algorithms, infinite scrolling, AI generated content. And many experts now believe the greatest future crisis may not be unemployment alone. It may be mental exhaustion, digital addiction, and the inability to focus. A generation surrounded by information may slowly lose the ability to think deeply. Because in the 801st lifetime, focus may become power. As AI becomes more intelligent, human identity itself may begin to shift. What is intelligence? What is creativity? What makes humans unique? These questions may become more important than ever before. Because machines are beginning to do things once considered exclusively human. And that may force humanity to rediscover what being human truly means. So, what skills matter now? Not memorization, not routine repetition, but critical thinking, creativity, communication, emotional stability, judgment, and learning agility. The future may reward people who can learn quickly, stay calm, and think clearly while the world accelerates around them. The present generation may need to prepare differently from any generation before it. This may become the adaptive generation, a generation that must learn how to learn continuously, how to work with AI instead of resisting it, how to build multiple skills, how to remain mentally resilient, how to protect attention, how to think globally, how to create value that machines struggle to replace, and most importantly, how to remain human inside an increasingly artificial world. The deepest realization. The 801st lifetime is not simply about technology. It is about civilization reorganizing itself. Work reorganizes, education reorganizes, economies reorganize, societies reorganize, and eventually, human identity itself may reorganize. The future is no longer arriving slowly, it is accelerating towards us. And perhaps for the first time in history, humans can actually see the wave before it fully arrives. That gives us a choice: to ignore it, to fear it, or to prepare for it. Because the people who thrive in the 801st lifetime may not be the strongest, or the richest, or even the smartest, but those who can adapt, learn, remain emotionally steady, and continue finding meaning while everything around them changes.